Why All Blacks must thrash Wallabies for the sake of Australian rugby. Why All Blacks must thrash Wallabies for the sake of Australian rugby. After an embarrassing performance by the Wallabies in the first Bledisloe match, Sydney Morning Herald journalist and former Wallaby Peter FitzSimons discusses whether the team can turn its game around. Opinion: let's hope the All Blacks thrash the Wallabies for the sake of Australian rugby. There's been a lot of noble talk the last year or two about the New Zealand domination of the Bledisloe Cup and the international scene in general. There's been special attention given to the adverse effects that's having on the Wallabies and Australian rugby in general as the sport there plummets in popularity. Australian rugby is struggling to catch New Zealand, as the All Blacks showed with their demolition of the Wallabies in Sydney. Put that down to the ever-increasing politically correct nonsense that is taking over the world. The moment the All Blacks take the foot off the throat of the Wallabies will be a dark day for rugby on both sides of the Tasman. Steve Hanson's players were guilty of that last week in Sydney, as a sublime first half was followed by a disappointing final half hour. A chance to totally demoralize Michael Cheika and his battlers was lost. If a similar opportunity arises inside the Glasshouse in Dunedin on Saturday, the All Blacks need to be totally ruthless. Yes, rugby needs to have a strong top tier. But that doesn't necessarily have to include the Wallabies. Sport tends to work in cycles, and right now rugby fans should be highlighting the persistent excellence of Ireland and the resurgence of England as much as lamenting the demise of Australia. Australian rugby needs to be shaken into action on and off the field. On the back of their Super Rugby embarrassment, another Bledisloe Cup belting would be the best thing to happen to them. Only then might they really look deep into their withering inner circle and try to rectify what it is going wrong. A false dawn in the deep south would allow them to paper over the cracks rather than look at their shaky foundations. Right now the Wallabies certainly don't resemble anything like the hard-nosed Australian sportsmen and sportswomen that so often enjoy beating their Kiwi cousins and punching above their weight on a global stage. But as professionals, you outback them to rebound at some stage. It mightn't be this weekend, it mightn't be this year, but the two-time world champions will respond in time. They have too much resource and history not to achieve that. But the best way for that to be hammered home to them is to see the depths they have plummeted. That will surely be a way for the players to pull up their socks and raise their standards at the same time. That will surely be a way for their bumbling administrators to admit their own errors and look at ways to find a fix. Already they have a major investigation into their problems underway, drawing on all sorts of good rugby folk across their large nation. Another Bledisloe Cup loss should surely speed up the process rather than stall it. There's nothing like a harsh reality to spark a solution. The Wallabies needn't look too far for some inspiration, and that's not just across the halfway line as they face another haka on Saturday night. There are encouraging signs coming out of South Africa on the back of their shocking Springbok season last year. They have looked hard at their systems and are certainly trying to move in the right direction. They have accepted their Super Rugby fate and look to address the disappointment in a positive and innovative way by shifting the Cheetahs in South Kings into the European club scene. Meanwhile, the Australians remain embroiled in a political nightmare, still trying to sort out the Super Rugby cuts that have hit them.